We pray today in a special way for all doctors and priests during this, our 21st century plague of the coronavirus. We note that in Italy alone, over 100 priests and approximately 154 doctors have died while doing their duty to their patients and their congregants. In the United States, over 2,500 doctors, and I do include in here the first responders within the doctors, and over 2,300 priests, and approximately 1,750 Protestant clergy. Unfortunately, no one counts Protestant clergy, so I had to go through news stories to account for them. May the example of these shepherds, priests and doctors, help us to take care of the holy, faithful people, the people of God. Now our lesson for reflection today is on Jesus as shepherd. Let us reflect on the image of the Good Shepherd, presented throughout this whole week in the readings in the scriptures, beginning from Sunday's second reading, the reading from the first letter of Peter, and from the first mention in all of the imagery in the Gospels, that of the Gospel of John. St. Peter describes Jesus as a shepherd, the one who came to save his straying sheep. By bearing the sins of the sheep, Jesus freed us from sin. Due to Jesus' death, we have returned to our shepherd, the guardian of our souls. St. John describes Jesus not only as the shepherd, but also as the door through which the flock enters. Unfortunately, just as Jesus said in the Gospel, many fake shepherds have entered to rob and exploit the Lord's flock. They are not interested in the flock, but their own interests have been in climbing the ladder for their own advancement in politics or for money. But the flock recognizes who the good shepherds are and who are the false ones, the thieves and the robbers. But sheep being sheep, some are more astute than others. Some simply chew and follow the tail ahead of them. These latter sheep, these are how false shepherds are allowed in, and how they can fleece you, stealing their fleece and their little wealth by falsely promising green pastures, giving your fleece for salvation. These false shepherds promise, and they live in luxury while giving nothing to the flock, allowing them to die in floods, hurricanes and earthquakes. But the false shepherds left on one of their many airplanes. Now you see where some aphorisms and idioms have originated, eh? A good shepherd is distinguished by its flock. A flock flourishes because the shepherd listens, guides, and cares for the sheep. The sheep entrust themselves only to those shepherds who are similar to Jesus, the Good Shepherd. In this respect, the flock never errs. Only those shepherds who are like Jesus and elicit confidence in their flock. Jesus' style must be the pastor's style. There is no other. These false shepherds give the false sense of confidence, but then they mislay it and they show themselves false. That style was spelled out by St. Peter. Jesus suffered for the sheep, so we could follow in his footsteps. He never returned insult for insult. That was called meekness. That meekness is one of the signs of a good shepherd. If a pastor is not meek, he is hiding something. For meekness makes oneself seen as he or she is, without defenses. The good shepherd tenderly draws near each sheep and knows each one's name. He takes care of each one as if it were the only one. In fact, at the end of the day, the shepherd realizes that one sheep has not returned. He will go out in search of it, notwithstanding how tired he is. This is a good shepherd. This is Jesus. The image of the shepherd, the flock, and the sheep is an Easter idea. There is an Easter hymn which calls the newly baptized the newborn lambs and calls them to come into the flock. This is the church Jesus wants. Jesus takes care of this church. Therefore, this Sunday began a beautiful week with our shepherd imagery each and every day. It is a week of peace. It has been a week of tenderness, meekness, because our shepherd has taken care of us. The Lord is my shepherd. There is nothing I shall want. Please note, on 14 May, all religions of the world, not just Christians, not just the Abrahamic religions, but all religions through their leaders are calling for a day united in prayer and fasting to ask that this modern plague, the coronavirus, be lifted of us. I will remind you each day of the 14th so that we may all participate.